Kevin Clark. Welcome, Kevin. How are you?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Great. The assistant coach, Luis Franco. Luis, and I hope I'm getting your name right.
Yeah, you are getting it right.
Oh, perfect. Welcome. Glad to have you aboard. And of
Thank
course,
you for having me.
the young lady who was doing her hair and nails because she was so worried about the interview, Hayley Basterash. There she is, Hayley. And you're back home in Canada, safe and sound.
Yes, yep.
Great, great to have you here today. And of
Thanks for having me.
course, Jesse Bauer, great to meet you. Jesse, you're safe and sound at in Edmonton?
Yep.
Fantastic, it's great. Glad to have you all aboard here today. Of course, Kevin is the head coach of the Edmonton Triathlon Academy. He's coached international junior and under 23 athletes to ITU Worlds and even a Syrian Olympian. Bachelor of Sports
That's
Science,
fun.
certified ITU coach, NCCP Comp Dev coach, Canadian head coach and junior head coach at numerous WTS events, as well as the provincial coach for Alberta for a time, and a former international pro triathlete, making all the coin, I bet. And Luis is the assistant coach, of course, at the Edmonton Triathlon Academy, Bachelor of Science in Sports, specializing in track and field, ITU Level 2, NCCP Comp Dev certified, provincial domestic coach for the Provincial Summer Games in Alberta, a former professional triathlete in Mexico for Team Trixol, competing across all distances, Luis. So that's very interesting. We may even delve into that experience going across all the distances. And Hayley Basterash. Hayley, several top 20 placings in the Cam-Tri events, both junior as an elite, stepping up into the elite world with a 13th place finish at the 2017 Canadian Sprint Champs as an elite. 2017 Team Alberta placing, 4th in the women's relay, 4th in the mix, 6th in the individual. Currently a U of A student studying kinesiology, getting her degree this December, and
Yes.
recently having to make a bit of a urgent flight back because you were in Loughborough University on a bit of an exchange there, I take it.
Yeah, yeah. I just got back March, middle
Yeah.
of March.
Well, we're glad that you're back safe and sound. And the superstar duathlete, Jesse Bauer, represented Canada in the duathlon elite men at the ITU Multisport World Championships in 2017. That was in Penticton, and also 2018 in Denmark. 6th place at the first ever ITU Multisport World Cup in Wenzhou, China, 2019, men's elite duathlon. Gold medalist in 2015 Canadian duathlon, silver medalist, the Canadian sprint duathlon, and a 3-time Alberta provincial duathlon champion. So there you have it. We have an all-star cast with us today. Really glad you're making it here today, guys. Hayley thinks that's funny. That's good. She's got I hope you have the giggles today, so it'll be a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to roll our intro, and then we'll get right down to the interview.
So I was hearing you double.
You got it. Yeah.
I was like, ah.
We are back, and we're just making sure that Kevin doesn't have his YouTube on, so we'll get a reverberation. So he's made sure that that's off. And there's also a delay, by the way, Kevin, just so that you know. So it's always good to, so the viewers are actually a little bit behind us in what they see. It's about 15 seconds. But
People say I'm a little bit slow anyway.
okay. Well, again, thank you all for joining us today, especially at your time zone. It's a little bit more comfortable at 4 here, but we really appreciate you taking the time here today, guys. And how are you all doing? You doing okay?
Doing great.
Yeah.
Good. You know, this conversation certainly is going to focus on the Triathlon Academy as a whole, but we do want to delve into finding out a little bit about more of your stories as we go along. But let's start off. And Kevin, for you, how would you describe the Triathlon Academy in terms of what its setup is? Is it affiliated with Triathlon Alberta? Is it like a traditional triathlon club? What's the setup and what makes it tick, seeing that you're the brains of the operation? And the beauty, of course.
No, no, no. I think I'm. It used to be the face, but I'm getting too old. Definitely not the brains of the operation. Started off, Sheila O'Kelly and the World Cup Edmonton board wanted to put more investment back into the community. That would be the start of it. And then, okay, let's try make up a little academy. And if you know Edmonton, they go for it, you know. So World Cups, World Championships, it's an attitude of why not. With Sheila being Irish, me being Scottish and Scottish Italian, kind of, yeah, we want to be part of the system, but we're going to do it our way. So we're not affiliated with the national provincial body or FICAN. And it's a little bit the same as with the event. Like, we want to do it our way. So it's an Edmonton thing. Triathlon Alberta is our provincial body, and as any club, yeah, we are affiliated to them that way, but we do not receive funding. And we just want to start up an academy. In 2010, we started up the academy.
And
so up to 10 years now.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. Of course, my bit of small background, I did work in Edmonton and used to reside there. My son was born there. So I do know the area, but wasn't there at the time when we moved away. So it's really nice to see. And as you said, they're very much is a can-do attitude at Edmonton around new opportunities. They don't say why they can't do it. They say, let's figure out how we can do it. And it's very exciting. Given that you've mentioned you don't have a lot of funding through sort of the provincial avenue, does that mean that you definitely do have to be self-sufficient in your funding? And does that come from just maintaining your memberships through athlete fees, etc.? What kind of funding do you generate?
So the Grand Final Legacy Trust after 2014, they wanted to ensure that the academy could be sustainable. So they put in money every year. So there was a 5-year funding model. So the first, from 2010 to 2014, the World Cup and the ETA were joined as one. And then after 2014, we had to separate. So now we're a society. So we have just like normal clubs, we have a bingo, which all the clubs have to survive from the casinos. So we have the casino fund, we have membership fees, and then the Grand Final, those 2014, they wanted to make sure that the academy legacy could be run. And now we've got into a partnership with the city of Edmonton. We'll build the Argyle Velodrome. Mm-hmm. So there'll be an indoor velodrome in maybe 3 years' time. So it changes. So we're definitely Edmonton. We're always gonna. What's the next thing? What's the next thing? So the next thing is gonna be in 3 years' time. Okay, we're not gonna be riding indoors. We're gonna be riding on the velodrome indoors. So that's the next. That's the future step.
Well, I thought when I was doing.
Luis. Yep.
When I was doing some of my research, sorry about that, Kevin. When I was doing some of my research, seeing that you use the indoor track at the Butterdome for a little bit of riding, is that true? You're able to ride on the Butterdome a little bit?
Me, no. I think Rosanne Edwards, she can ride on the track in Saskatchewan because she's the boss.
Okay.
We would have the Edmonton Track Council down on me so fast.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because you wouldn't believe, even with the varsity team, to get permission to use the track and field house for our swimmers to do a little bit of running and a little bit of dryland. Boy, that took a lot of work. So that's good clarification. And maybe tell us when Luis came into the fold and what transpired there as the academy became more successful, funding became more secure. Luis came on board. You want to describe that for us a little bit?
There's always a story. It's like I saw this person watching me coaching on the poolside, and I'm like, that guy's watching me. Because when you're coaching, you're always aware of, okay. And then Luis basically came up, and I'll let Luis tell the story. So,
well,
but
Luis,
the funding we get from grand finals, I'm like, I need staff. I want a full-time junior coach, and that funding is that opportunity to succeed is giving the athletes opportunities, giving coaches opportunities. So we've had a lot of assistants, but we've never had a full-time assistant. So that funding provided Luis an opportunity to be a professional coach.
That's fantastic. And Luis, do you want to describe the start of your involvement and sort of the role that you play in working with some of the younger developing athletes?
Of course. As Kevin mentioned, I think he only saw me once at the pool, but actually I was there for 3 days just watching him coaching at 6 a.m. at the Kingsman.
Yeah.
And the way I found out about the academy was through internet. So I was doing a little bit of research just to see where I could get involved into triathlon coaching here in Edmonton. So I found the academy, and all the background and the website and everything that they mentioned about the academy really inspired me. And yeah, I just approached Kevin and asked him if he needed an assistant coach, and everything just started from there. At first, I was volunteering, and then I got a job with them. And yes, I've been assisting him with the youth. We are trying to increase the number of youth, and before the youth were around, I was assisting him with the juniors and with the adults, with the master group. But now we have a solid group of 9 athletes that I've been coaching, kind of thing. Yeah.
Fantastic. And you're obviously enjoying it. How did you find that transition from your, and I guess a question to both of you, Luis, and to you, Kevin. Maybe Kevin, you have to think back a little further. How did you manage that adjustment from your pro careers as athletes moving towards coaching? Because it is an adjustment. Coaches go through what I've always called a 3-phase of development. You coach the way you did your athletics, and then you tend to coach the way you were coached. And then eventually you mature to the point where you figure out you have your own philosophy, your own ideas, your own thoughts, and eventually you mature to the point where you coach the way you want to coach. So how was that adjustment for you guys, exiting your pro careers and making your way into your full-time professional coaching career? I'll go to you first, Kevin.
Chris McCormack was chopping some of the coaches, just saying that you guys are just coaching is such a cliche. you're an athlete and you're a coach. So he's calling these people out. I was like, hang on. I was a coach before I did triathlon. So I didn't do triathlon until I was 22.
Okay.
So, and the athletes will know I have a few different hobbies, and I'm kind of going back the way in all the sports I used to do before triathlon. So I'll probably do more non-triathlon sports than I do triathlon right now. So,
all right. Well, then that's a good point. Hayley,
I've got a background. I did not start off trying to be a triathlon coach. I was a swim coach.
Good for you.
So I'm not exactly, yeah.
So Hayley, what
was,
what are some of Kevin's hobbies then? He alluded that he has some interesting hobbies. So let's find out what are some of his hobbies, Hayley?
He skateboards.
Oh, really? Is he any good?
I think so.
Long
he goes to the skate park.
Longboard or shortboard?
I don't know.
Yeah, we do not longboard.
No longboards?
Longboard.
All right.
No. And we also can't escape a couple weeks without Kevin telling us a karate story from his youth.
Oh, another one. Yeah. So martial arts too. All right. Well, we're getting.
Yeah. So I learned more from these other coaches, and basketball. I think I tried Scottish basketball. I was in the first division for about a year. So yeah.
But not netball.
The plan was to be a PE teacher, not so. In the old days, you had to be able to do lots and lots of sports.
Yeah.
All the old PE teachers could do all the sports.
Okay.
So
great. And how about you, Luis? How did you manage that transition from a pro athlete career into your coaching?
I need to go back to probably 20 years ago when my dad he's retired now, a track and field coach. Really hyperactive kid, and my mom couldn't stand to have me at home, so she will send me with my dad to the track. So that's pretty much where everything started. So I was kind of helping my dad coaching athletes at the track, and he will just teach me a few tricks and things. And I used to ask questions, and then out of the sudden I was helping my dad coaching his athletes, and then before I studied the science in a sport career, I studied to become an engineer. So I didn't want to be a PE teacher or a coach. I used to think that that was an important title, I will say.
Oh, you got to be careful. Your boss is listening,
I know.
it's all good. It's all good.
Well, that was 20 years ago. Then I went into the engineering career, worked in that field for a couple of years. Used to realize that it wasn't for me. That's where I switched careers. I started coaching runners, and then worked as a phys ed teacher for almost 10 years in Mexico. But at the same time, I was practicing triathlon, and I was coaching people on the side. That's how everything kind of started.
That's fantastic. Well, Edmonton is certainly very lucky to have both of you with the Academy, and very lucky to have you as sport leaders and sport experts there. So that's wonderful to see. Through all of this, there's also a bit of a query, I guess we would have to you, Kevin, as the head coach. We've been fortunate enough to be on a few calls together, but I think one thing I'd like to understand is, personally, how would you define your philosophy working in this unique 3-discipline sport, where you try to get athletes moving from beyond being average at all 3 to really good to really great at all 3? That's a very, very difficult philosophy to build in a multidisciplinary event. What is your philosophy in trying to build that through the athlete career?
Is that all? So when you do your coaching, you got to come up with your coaching philosophy. So I don't own the athletes. I work with the athletes. We work as a partnership. So my idea is take the person to develop them as far as they can, or be a positive part of their development pathway. And if I cannot reach a certain level, I have no problem with a Kinley Gibson saying, hey, I want to try cycling. I'm like, yes, you should go see this person. So I don't ever only athlete. And then there's a philosophy about the actual event. It depends on where you come out of the swim. So I've had national coaches, and I raced and learned all the hard lessons in Europe. The water 2 minutes down. Okay, so if you're 2 minutes down, how do you make an event? What kind of bike training do you need to do from second pack? So someone like a Hayley comes out of the water in first pack. Okay, I'm going to coach her on the bike, talk about tactics, how to maintain the lead. If I've got an athlete who comes out in second pack, okay, we need to work on time trial ability, and the ability to organize a bike pack, communication with the people, not screaming at everybody to bike harder and hoping you're going to chase down the pack. And then you run at the end. So look at the race event first. But as for the youth athletes, the 14-year-olds, as Stephen Norris, the Canadian Winter High Performance Director, no such thing as a 14-year-old champion. I was like, yeah, we are here to have fun, especially in triathlon. Maybe in other sports you compete younger, but in the sport of triathlon, if you're not having fun at 14 and you're training hard, you're not going to make it past 20. So I don't know if that answers your questions.
No, well, it's certainly, I think, in a very healthy way, I think it would be an insult to our viewers if we didn't assume that they already understand the sport of triathlon is a late maturation sport compared to certainly some of the other sports, gymnastics, swimming included, tend to be an early specialization sport compared to a late specialization sport. I'm going to shift a little bit over to Hayley and Jesse now, and we've heard from both Luis and Kevin on their strategies, and I believe Hayley, the good old summer club experience is always very alive and well in Alberta. I remember it very well and very fondly, and I believe you're a Sailfish alumni, are you not?
Yes. Yeah.
Very good.
I probably.
Yeah. So how, Kevin was saying you come out of the pack typically first within your environment. Give us a little bit of background on maybe your start in the sport, migrating from summer swimming into triathlon, and how you got involved into your level of maturation and your level of competence into the sport.
Yeah, so you kind of mentioned my summer swimming days. I used to compete with winter swimming. But then I shifted over to summer so I could play hockey as well, because I played hockey and swam. So I'd play hockey in the winter and then swim in the summer. And then some of my friends from swim club were doing triathlons and in the summer just for fun. And that's something that I kind of did with my friends, like maybe 2 or 3 a summer. But I kind of got noticed by our Tri Alberta, and I got named to our development team just from doing a bunch of Kids of Steel races. And then I kind of just ended up really liking it and did more races because I was on this team. And then I switched over because I just wasn't loving hockey anymore, and wasn't loving swimming anymore either, since I'd been doing it since I was 6 years old. So then I kind of made the switch over to triathlon, which was something that was new and exciting, and I found success there too. So and that's kind of when I joined the academy as well.
That's fantastic. And Jesse, your experience now, we certainly heard through your accolades and your athletic resume that you've been primarily a high-level elite pro duathlete. Where would you come? You have dabbled in triathlon. Where would you come out in that pack? Would you come out first pack, second pack? Where would you be?
I've never swam, so I've always been a duathlete. But I came from a running background, so for me, that's always been my bread and butter. But I'm not top level. And the thing about duathlon is that the depth of events around the world, there really aren't that many. So the events that I do get to do are often very, very high level. So for me, whereas Hayley's the type of athlete who's coming out in the front and she's the tactics are very, very important, I'm kind of falling into that second kind of athlete where my focus is on my time trial ability. My focus is on kind of trying to get into a pack and generate some camaraderie so that we can all work together and chase down the group up ahead. So that's, I'm kind of the flip side. Yeah. I'm more of I'm a chase pack athlete. I think the first lead pack I ever made was my race in China last year, and that took a whole lap to chase down the lead pack. So that's me.
All right. And is that specific to tries for you, or is that within the duathlon element?
It's just that's just duathlons.
Okay.
So I don't do any triathlons. Okay. So it's just duathlons for me.
Right.
So and I'm always finding myself in racing above my level, as Kevin would say.
And what you did mention, I find it interesting. You mentioned, and we'll touch on this with Hayley as well. Similar to what Kevin said, is that you have to develop a level of camaraderie and communication with those athletes very quickly from first segment run into bike pack. How do you do that? How do you generate that level of leadership without sounding like you're bossing everybody around and get people organized into a solid chase pack?
In my experience, it really depends. I don't have much experience with it, but it kind of depends on what kind of athlete or person you are, and who's in your group. My favorite story to tell was from Worlds in 2018 in Denmark, because it was a short lap, and I remember I was in the last pack on the road, and we were getting chased down by the breakaway, and for us, what really worked well for that group was we had this common motivation that anytime someone missed a turn or started slack a little bit, everybody else in the group would say, we don't want to get lapped out. So it's, for me, from what I've experienced, it's all about finding a common goal. I'm not cocky in the pack. I'm not the kind of person who's going to be yelling and, directing. For me, I'm the person who's taking my turns. I'm the person who's showing that I'm confident in my abilities and that they should be confident in their abilities too. And that if we all are confident, then we can work together and we can start moving up. So I'm a lead by example type, but it's not for everybody.
Well, that's great to hear. So you let your legs and your own competence, your skill competence, sort of drive the communication in those environments.
Yeah.
Excellent. And how about you?
It's something we work on.
Yeah, so go ahead, Kevin.
Where that you're not going to surge the people. So people are not going to work with you if you get so much pent up energy in the race that you can actually do harm to the pack, where you come through too fast. And then rather than, we're all going to be going at this speed, just come through and smooth. And then once you do that, everybody calms down and realizes, okay, this is the tactic, not panic. And this is what we try to work on. So
it is it's a very difficult skill, I think, for athletes to develop if they haven't come through a cycling specialty background. It takes some time. It's essentially team time trialing with non-team members, and you've got to all figure out how to do it very quickly. You're right, Kevin. So that's great to hear. I think our viewers will really appreciate it. I'm going to shift it.
Haley can talk.
Yeah, I'm gonna have Hayley describe it a little bit, but I do want to remind our viewers out there, as we've come up to about the halfway mark, that they can type in on the chat, on the YouTube chat anytime, and ask questions. One of my production assistants, young Robin Videka here, will monitor the chat line, and she'll interrupt me if we've got any questions coming through. How about you, Hayley? How have you found adapting and learning part of this tactical element that Kevin has talked about through your career?
For me, I'm similar to Jesse in a pack. I would say I'm more quiet and definitely just kind of follow or react to what's going on. But I think for me, a big way that I've learned the tactics is riding with people like Jesse faster than me, because that's kind of the situation that, coming from my swim background, I have a pretty decent swim and I end up in that pack, but I might not be able to totally hold my own in that, just if it was just me. So I do rely on the pack a lot, and in that way I kind of have to react a lot to what everyone's doing, and kind of know when I should just hold back and when I can actually go. So I've definitely learned a lot of that through training with Jesse and some of the other guys in our group. And and again, it's always a learning process. I learn something new every time I race. I'm like, wow, that I shouldn't have attacked at all there. I was not in a good position, or I held back too much, and it we ended up getting caught, so it's always like for me.
How did you, you're a little bit, to be fair to Jesse, you're a little bit younger than Jesse. I'm assuming graduating this coming December, and uh, your visit over to England. How have you managed, or how did you manage the adjustment from basically a U19 junior here in North America to an under 23 and into the elite category? Can you describe for some of the viewers what key lessons you learned going from junior to elite?
Oh, well, I think that even as like an older junior, the way that the races go is like you kind of are racing people that are older than you anyways. Like I remember when I was 18, I raced in Ottawa and I was racing against people like Joanna Brown and Paula Finley. And so I guess like you just kind of get like put into those situations. And it was almost like a natural like progression into that situation because I had already kind of experienced it and I kind of got thrown into it as a junior. And then I was kind of able, like I was used to it by the time I actually got to be over 19. It kind of didn't really feel super different. But I think that for sure, like being kind of pushed into those kind of things as a younger athlete kind of set me up for being able to handle the racing that you experience once you leave junior.
And Luis, give me some of your impressions through the workouts. I know that you're integrated in working with not just the younger athletes, but throughout the program. Describe for us the benefits that Hayley is able to take advantage of training with some faster male counterparts within the group while balancing training with some of the other females in the group. Can you describe what you see in that type of training environment?
Definitely. For athletes like Hayley, number one, we try to have all the team can help out. And Kevin and I, during training sessions, kind of create scenarios where they can experience something that they will be experiencing in a race. And then Kevin is a big fan of, okay, let's stop the practice and kind of give a feedback. And I have adopted that philosophy into my own coaching because I like that, putting the athletes in difficult situations where they can actually learn something. Mm-hmm. Because no matter how many times we tell them something, not until they experience kind of learn it. So yeah, athletes like Jesse and other athletes are always looking to help other athletes to used to have their best during a training session, and they are always helping each other, which is a good thing.
Very good, thank you, Jesse. Now are you somewhat new to the academy? How long have you been training with the academy and Kevin and Luis?
January 2016. So that's 4.5 years now.
Right. So you've been there 4.5 years. What was the, not necessarily the driving force, but what adjustment, were you being coached before or were you self-coached before? I'm just curious what adjustments you've had to make.
I was being coached. I went, when I was in university and high school, I was in a pretty hands-on. It was actually a very similar coaching program to what the academy had to offer. And then when I started doing multisport, started doing duathlons, I did get a coach, but it was an online program, and it was one-to-one coaching, and it was delivered via email, and I was training a lot on my own. And what I found is I really started missing that daily performance environment, because for me it was like, well, these are my workouts for the day, and I just have to go out and do them when I can. And I really miss that. Practice is at 5 o'clock. Everyone's going to be there. We're all going to jump in. We're all going to work together, and we're all going to drive each other to perform. So for me, it wasn't necessarily an adjustment as much as it was an adjustment back. When I was in university, I was a B group in the team, but I ran faster than I might have ever run if I had ever been in a program where I was a big fish. And that's what I missed. It was that constant drive to succeed and to be better and to look around at other people who wanted the same thing and use that as motivation. So it took some getting over, but after a little while, it was quite refreshing, actually.
Yeah, I think it's very important to actually just one piece of my philosophy is that the social unity is an important factor within the training environment, and it lends itself actually to, I think, not just a greater social environment, but actually improved tactics, improved learning, improved motivation, and even improved skills. Because it's not just the coaches that have eyes on you, it's your teammates that have eyes on you. And they're willing to not just give you the motivational encouragement, but to say, hey, you're dropping your head forward or your head back or your elbows or whatever it is, there's extra eyes on you, and it creates a really wonderful training environment. So it's really nice to hear you say that, Jesse, that social environment is important, because I know many athletes do take the time to be self-coached, but I think it's very important. Hayley, back to you. What drove you to take the student exchange over to Loughborough to get some, going for the European culture over there, or what?
Well, I go to school here in Edmonton, and so I was almost kind of just looking for a chance to leave for a bit. It was I've obviously spent like 4 years doing university here, and I thought what a cool experience to be able to study in a different country and get out of Alberta and experience something new. So I wanted to use my studies to do that. So that was kind of my motive, kind of just a bonus that I was also able to train with their university team there as well. So it was mostly school related, and then the training was kind of just a bonus for me.
That's fantastic. It is a great experience. Good for you. And I do realize, of course, that it goes without saying, and I certainly in these projects try to avoid the focus of the COVID-19 environment. But I think we'd be doing a bit of disrespect to the fact that it is here. So in a snapshot, let's just go around the table. What's the biggest adjustment you've had to make? Kevin, over to you. We've talked about it probably ad nauseum on coaching calls, but maybe you could just tell us what's the biggest adjustment for you?
You got to look at the whole. It's not just sport; it's the whole environment, the whole social. Everything's changed. So, my wife is homeschooling 8 kids here, so everybody's adjusted. Alberta's doing really, really well, so they went into phase 2 yesterday. So I think I have to really give a big pat on the back to all the athletes coming through this, because my generation never did this. This is a brand new thing for everybody, so we don't know if we've done it well or not until later on. So we're doing the best that we can. We're trying to keep our group together. They're doing awesome. I don't know how I would have reacted, because these athletes, they love to do sport. They want to do it. They want to do it. I don't have that feeling anymore. I don't mind missing a session, but I would never miss a session. When I was focused, I was like, you know what? I'm resting. I'm not driving you to the mall. I'm resting. I'm swimming at 4.
Okay.
So these guys have done amazing.
Yes.
So,
and how about you, Luis? What do you find is the biggest adjustment you've had to make?
The biggest adjustment for me, well, I'm coaching a group of 9 athletes aged between 13 and 15 years old. The biggest adjustment was to set up a little room in the basement and virtually coach them through Zoom. It took me a couple of weeks to take that huge step because I wasn't comfortable talking to the camera, and especially when you don't know what's going on the other side. So it took a little bit of learning on that area, and also a lot of creativity and talking to the kids to see what they like, how they feel. And pretty much they are the ones that drove me to do different things, because it's not easy to just get on the trainer and just bike. So we've been creative, playing some games. I have these games with cards where they get to choose. I'm just dealing the cards and then tell me when to stop, and then whatever card we get, that's the number of repetitions we do of an exercise. I don't know, different things. When it started to be nice outside, I strongly suggested them to go outside and set up the trainer outside. And on Fridays, we have this youth party through house party where we could get together. And so all those little changes I never imagined I was going to be doing. And those things you don't learn at university.
Yeah. Well, I think a big pat on the back to you, because it is an adjustment for everyone, not just the athletes, but for the coaches as well. But it certainly sounds like you're keeping them engaged, providing a sense of focus for them. And they're going to learn a lot through the process. If they learn self-discipline in going to in-person training, they'll learn even more self-discipline, because it's very easy to tune out and not go on a Zoom call or something like that. It's a lot different not to have your parents or something like that drive you to the training location. And certainly good on you for providing that, because I think those young kids will really appreciate it. So thanks on behalf of all the coaches, Luis, for making that adjustment. Hayley and Jesse, your biggest adjustments, whether it be motivation, mental, obviously missing the opportunity to race until that comes around at a certain time in the future. Hayley, your biggest adjustment that's impactful to you?
I think the biggest adjustment that has actually impacted me is just being at home all the time. Just being like a student and an athlete and everything, I'm never at home. And my family's never at home. They're always doing stuff with my sisters. And so I think just all of us being at home has been really weird. But also in that way, like just not knowing as well when you're going to come out of it. So kind of training and not knowing what's coming next is probably like the actual most challenging part of the whole thing, like school wise and training wise and work wise and everything. Like you just really don't know what's coming next. So I think for me, like that is what's been most impactful, is just not knowing.
Yeah, that uncertainty sort of builds on you, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jesse, how about you?
I think the hardest thing that I've had to deal with is just being overwhelmed with all the information and everything that's happening, and just trying to process everything that's happening. It made it a lot harder to stay the course, because, you'd think, I don't have to go to work. I can sleep pretty much as much as I want. I can dedicate all recovery and injury rehab that I didn't have to do. But I've just found that there's just so much out there to process that you don't have all this time that you think you're going to have. So for me, the hardest part has just been to kind of separate. And I've never had a problem of shutting off the world to get into training mode until March. And then all of a sudden I'm at home, and it's gotten that much harder to transplant myself out of the world, put myself into training mode. And that's really been the hardest part, because you're training distracted. You feel like you're wasting all this time and wasting this opportunity to be a full-time athlete and to really dedicate yourself and come out of this with all this great fitness. But it's really hard to acknowledge that it's hard to do that. It's been hard to do that right now. So coming to terms with that has really been the biggest adjustment I've had to make.
Yeah, that is. And I'm sure you're grateful, though, to your coaches and your teammates at the academy, though, that they are able to keep you engaged.
Oh yeah, Kevin, he's got to talk to me on the phone in the last 3 months more than he ever has.
And look at how much he's smiling about that, eh?
No, we just adapt and do whatever it takes to help them out. That's how, I wouldn't say it's a job, but you care about the people.
Yes, absolutely.
So I just saw a group, and like Luis is excellent. He sees his group and he adapts. And I saw my group and I was like, we need help. So Susan Cockle, maybe about Susan Cockle coming in. I was like, I've used Susan Cockle, a psychologist. She's from a town, Kilmarnock. And on the podium, we're using her for the coaches. And I think they had over 200 coaches log in because the coaches needed help.
Yeah.
So Susan Cockle gave a talk, and it was one of the institutes in Ontario.
Yeah, it was, I think, the CSI Ontario that
yeah. So she did that, and then I was like, you need to help my squad. Please help me.
Oh, that's
so
fantastic.
I don't know if you want to ask them further questions. One session is not going to do it, but hopefully it started the conversation about, okay, this is what's actually happening.
Yeah.
This is anxiety. And she was talking about managing anxiety, or just, she wants to change the name of it, saying that it's awareness. So it's more about awareness of anxiety and stress, not managing in it. So
that's a great way to put it.
Challenging. Okay.
Yeah. And I take it, Hayley, from some of your comments a few minutes ago that the biggest adjustment being at home, I'm going to read between the lines. You have siblings?
Yeah, I have 2 sisters.
Okay. So Liam Donnelly got this question. I'm just going to leave it as a hanging question. Who's your favorite sister? You want to put that out there, or you want to just leave it?
I think we'll leave that one.
Okay, well, it's pretty funny. Liam Donnelly got asked that question on our chat line by his sister, and he didn't leave it hanging. He answered the question. I thought, oh my goodness, he's going down the wrong road.
Can I give a shout out to Liam?
You certainly can, absolutely.
Because he's working a job. He's training with Craig Taylor, doing a university. He's not hiding in his basement, whoever was arguing with him on Facebook. He's awesome. So Liam Donnelly, you've got a fan here. Keep going.
Fantastic. I think he has a lot of fans. Certainly his favorite sister is one of his fans, that's for sure. Well, again, last thing I want to do before we head to a little bit of a special question round is maybe give me a perspective, and we'll go around the table here, and it's okay if there's duplicate answers. Kevin, what makes the Edmonton Triathlon Academy unique and special?
You got the whole Edmonton with 3 world championships. The unique setting of Edmonton. People are surprised when they come and see how good it is to train. So the academy is built up by people who love triathlon, the World Triathlon Series, those organizers, the people who work there, they'll be back. They put on the World Series. Steve Bordeaux had Luis going to all the schools. He put 8,000. So we adapted. We didn't even have a swimming pool. Luis was like, okay, how can we do a triathlon? Okay, you're on a skateboard. You're doing a bike. 8,000 kids. Put that through. So Edmonton it's amazing. It's not just the academy. It's just, okay, we're going to have the World Cup soccer coming. Oh, let's build a velodrome. So my family's like, when I first came here, they're like, you're moving 500 miles north of where the Winter Olympics were. I was like, yeah, let's go. Let's do it.
Well, it certainly is.
It
is an absolutely wonderful city. I think people always underestimate the wonderful river valley, how fantastic it is. Yeah. It's one of the largest city centralized environmental areas in the world. It's a fantastic area. And Hayley, I don't know if you heard, my son was born there. So we have a lot of great roots in Edmonton, a lot of friends. Over to you, Luis, and even if it's the same, but what makes the ETA unique?
My opinion is that when you come to Edmonton Triathlon Academy, number one, you will have a really nice team environment, and with two really passionate coaches that care not only about the sport or the athlete, but also about the athletes as persons. And we have talked about it. Every person is different, and we try to challenge each of our athletes in different ways, because what athlete number A might not take in a good way, athlete B will take it and will improve. So those are the two main things. And also we try to give them tools that they are going to use for the rest of their life. So that's a really good learning experience, not only about the sport, but something that hopefully when they move on into their lives, they can use all those tools that they learn with us into their lives and come out stronger of any kind of situation. Because that's pretty much what a triathlon has taught me over the years, since it's an endurance sport. And it's not only physical, but mentally. So that's what I've been telling the youth right now. Like, just hang in there. We are going to come out of this even stronger.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I think the most unique thing we don't do as other clubs is we do month to month. So I never wanted to sign up somebody for a year and then have an athlete like, you know what, I'm not interested in this anymore. But the parents are like, well, you just keep going. You've got another 6 months. I'll pay for 6 months. I'd rather say, you know what? And none of my coaches ever told me, no, don't go do karate. Don't go to swimming. Don't go to soccer. I never grew up with that. So for me, that's completely alien. Why are you stopping me? We've had people from swim club. No, we need him for the relay. Well, that person doesn't like the sport anymore, but you're keeping him in for another 5 months of 10 sessions a week. Is that athlete development? So that's what's unique with us. So we go month to month, and there's no compulsory session. So I'm not, the parents will say, how many sessions do you have to do a week? I was like, how many can you do? And I just think I'm from Mars or something. I was like, you've got them going to piano recital, you're going to swimming, you're going to basketball, you're going to triathlon, and you want to make the provincial team and this and this and this, and you got to be, okay, it's 17 years old, that's not manageable anymore, so they drop out.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's the message when they come to my academy. I'll say, look, you do as many sessions as you want. Okay? So that's what the number one unique thing is with us.
It sounds like the athlete's own goals drive the level of commitment, which is the way it should be. That's positive athlete development.
Right.
Yeah. How about you, Jesse? What do you think at the academy? What makes it special and unique for you?
For me, it's the shared experiences. The story we always go back to when things are hard, and that I've actually been thinking about a lot the last couple of weeks. There was a couple winters where we didn't have a track to train on. So we actually trained running back and forth in the tunnels underneath the legislature building. And so, like, I would tell people this story, and people would just kind of look at me with bug eyes, and they're like, well what else? Like, why didn't you just leave? And I'm like, because it was fun. Like, we had this giant group, we had this group of 15, 20 athletes, and we're all meeting up in these tunnels, and we're running back and forth, but we're all doing it together. And it really, for me, it was like, this is a strengthening experience. This is bringing me closer to my teammates, because when we go out in June and we have a race day and there's a freak snowstorm the day before, we know exactly how to deal with that, because we've all been through hard times together. We've all had to make do and adapt and do things just to make it work. So that for me is the most unique part. I don't know another triathlon program out there who's really just had to make do the way that sometimes we've had to make do, especially in the winter.
Yeah, that's great. I think the viewers will find that really interesting, and those that are from Edmonton will have a smile and a chuckle, Jesse, because we do know about those tunnels in the legislature. So
Yeah.
for Kevin to adapt and make that work, that's wonderful. How about you, Hayley? What makes it special and unique for you?
Oh, well, I mean, these three kind of covered a lot of it. I think like we kind of have a unique situation where we really do have like a team and a group, and there are a couple teams around in Canada and stuff, but there are, like we said before, so many athletes that train on their own. And so I think that we're really lucky that we have a group to come to all the time, and whether our commitment levels are different and stuff, we always end up seeing each other, or someone's always there to train with. So I think that's something that has really been good, and for me, and I think a lot of other people, is just kind of like what Jesse said, is like sharing the experiences and kind of getting through it together. Because yeah, we have tough winters, and we have random places where we bike and we run, and we
Remember the soccer pitch.
Listen,
Pitch with all
when I heard that triathlon was starting to build and a first race was going to happen, and after my time there, and they said, well, and I, speak with all my friends there, and they're saying, well, we're going to swim in Horlick Park. I was like, you're what? Oh my God. But they did a pretty good job. So it is pretty fantastic where the unique places are you go.
That said, we're really excited for the velodrome.
You should be. That is very exciting. Yeah. One last question for all of you before we hit the lightning round. You got to keep it short though. So in 30 seconds or less, starting with you, Kevin, we've talked about it. What can Triathlon Canada and or its provincial sections do better to help the athletes get to the next level?
We did the Justin Trudeau 21-second pause.
Means you only got 9 left.
Oh, we got 9 left. No, we got that rule in the coaching group where no complaining without offering solutions. So I don't know. We get different high performance directors, and you can't criticize one thing. So I think the will is there from all the coaches to work together. I'd like to see the race series go back to 16 to 19-year-olds and be in line with the European Triathlon Youth Series, seeing that kind of progression. And having the open races of 16-year-olds racing under 23s, I don't agree with that as a development model at all. And I think we need to review that and say, what's the positive and minuses of doing this? So I would like to see the race series being reviewed.
All right. How about you, Hayley?
Well, I definitely agree with Kevin. Like I said, I did get thrown into races as when I was a junior, and I was lucky that when I did, I was older junior. But when I was 16 and 17, there was a series for us to race as younger athletes. So there was a lot of direction as to where you race and who get, like, all the best juniors always went to those races. So you had like the best experience. So everyone in Canada kind of came together and did those races. And so I just think, like a race series for the juniors to come back would be something that's great and gives everyone direction in that way.
Over to you, Jesse.
Yeah, I'm going to echo that, just because for me, watching from the outside, when there was a national junior series, you could see these kids getting so excited to go and race their peers. And then they switched it to this bigger throwing athletes in with the elites. You could just see that the excitement wasn't really there anymore. And for me, like, that excitement is the most important part. That's what keeps people in the sport, and that's what helps us find our next Olympic individual hope, is keeping as many people in the sport as we can. And I think the race opportunity should reflect that.
All right. And Luis, what do you think? You echo the same things?
Yeah, I will agree with what they said, and I'm just going to add, having a little bit of more communication with coaches and athletes. Winston, who was the general executive director, and now is Sebastian, they both started doing that, having more communication with coaches and athletes. So just continue doing that, because that's really important to hear both of their points. And then, of course, they are going to make the final decision, but based on what the people that are directly involved into the sport, like practicing and racing, just to hear how they feel. I think that's really important.
That's great. Yeah, you can never go wrong.
Just before I forget, we had the national relay champs in Edmonton, and the worst case scenario happened, whereas the American team had some WTS athletes go into this relay. And how many relay teams did we have? 19 junior teams, and 2 finished. And that was, come see the new exciting relay thing. It was a disaster. And I think as a coach, trying to pick up your team after that, it was pretty tough for me. I was like, hey, I guarantee they're still thinking about it. And when I saw Tyler Misselchuk in Saskatchewan racing, he was not racing Simon Whitfield. Joe Brown, Emil Krutz, they were racing juniors. And the number one thing, Stefan Daniel would not have had a chance to win junior nationals. I get pins and needles when I see Stefan Daniel. He won junior nationals, and I got the video of it. That must have been a breakthrough for him. So Stefan Daniel would not have had that opportunity. So the athletes in the national team right now all came through a junior national series.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
I commend you, Kevin, for your approach, that it's about providing the constructive element of the solution, and maybe the powers that be will take the opportunity moving forward to do that once we get through some of this COVID, and even take the time to do it now, because now's the time to do the planning for the future. All right, we're going to try and do some real short, quick, fun stuff. Everybody can pop in. Are you guys ready for this lightning round? We're going to find out a little bit more about Hayley and Jesse, and we'll see how. Yeah, we're going to see how well Kevin and Luis know these 2 athletes. All right, to the 2 athletes. What piece of clothing do you wish would come back into fashion?
Oh. I'm not a fashion forward type person. I basically live in my, I don't know, Nike shorts and a cotton T-shirt. So
you don't want to see leg warmers come back or something.
I actually used to wear leg warmers.
Okay. All right. To both of you, what's your favorite school subject?
Like high school?
Math?
Yeah.
Math for Jesse. How about you, Hayley?
Biology.
Okay. Oh, the arts of all the sciences. Biology. That's what my son calls it. All right. Okay. This is for a little bit of a younger crowd, but maybe this will work. You have to make a choice. Shawn Mendes, Drake, or the Jonas Brothers?
Drake.
All right. How about you? From the look on your face, Jesse, none of those?
This is after my time, man.
Okay. All right, here we go.
What's the older option?
Yeah, I know you guys are athletes through to the bone. What's your favorite fast food chain?
Burger King.
Okay.
Five Guys.
Really?
Five Guys. Okay. Okay, you got to make a choice.
Caesars.
Yeah, you got to make a choice now. Vacuum the house, mow the lawn, clean the bathroom, or wash dishes. Which one?
Did my mom get to you?
Well, you never know. We go a long ways in our research.
Don't let her hear me tell you I'd rather wash dishes.
Okay.
I think she heard me.
Clean the bathroom.
Really? Good for you,
Yeah.
Hayley. Okay, to both. Who's your favorite sports hero?
Sports hero.
Yeah, favorite sports hero.
Well, probably my favorite athlete would be Paula Finley.
Okay. How about you, Jesse?
Roberto Clemente, Pittsburgh Pirates outfielder.
Yes, yes. All right. Favorite song before you compete? Do you listen to some pump up music or anything?
Oof, I can't even answer that one.
Okay. Jesse?
Can't Be Touched or Lose Yourself by Eminem.
Okay. If not triathlon, what sport do you think you guys would have chosen?
I'd be a
Swimming.
baseball player.
Baseball? How about you, Hayley?
Swimming.
Okay. Favorite food the night before competition?
I'm a pasta person.
Pizza.
Pizza. So far, with all of your travels and your racing travels, where's your favorite place to compete?
Probably Magog in Quebec.
Okay. How about you, Jesse?
My favorite place ever was racing in Denmark. My favorite place to go back to, I love racing in Montreal.
All right.
That's a good one too.
All right. Make a choice. Chocolate or ice cream?
Chocolate, easy.
I would say chocolate. I'll chocolate.
Oh, okay. You know what? That's really good. So far, athletes have all picked ice cream, so this is good. We got 2 chocolate pickers. That's good.
We do it differently in Edmonton.
That's right. Well, I'm going to admit this one's a little bit biased towards Hayley, and I'm probably going to hate myself because all the girls answer the same way, but I'll throw it out there. Favorite brand of swimsuit?
I like my Roka swimsuit.
Really? You didn't pick a Jolin? Oh my God, thank God. You're the first girl that didn't pick Jolin.
Yeah, I don't have one. Everyone else has one, but I don't have one.
Okay, I'm going to make sure my daughter listens to you then. Okay, bike, are you ready? Mechanical or Di2?
Mechanical.
E-tap. No wires, man.
Okay, that's interesting. One piece of running equipment you absolutely just can't do without.
A headband.
Headband? How about what would you say, Hilly?
Yeah, shoes.
Shoes.
Okay. All right, you're not doing the barefoot thing. Good. All right, and last one. Out of the 3 disciplines, your favorite discipline? I know, Jesse, for the 2 disciplines, your favorite discipline, run or bike?
Bike.
All right, Hayley?
Bike.
Really? Good for you, Gary.
Yeah.
Good. Excellent. Well, thank you so much, guys, for joining us today. We've learned quite a bit about the philosophy that Kevin and Luis have created at the Academy. It's great to catch up with people that know some old stomping grounds, which I miss personally quite a bit, and can't wait to visit again sometime soon. If I do visit, try to bring the family, and maybe we'll visit the Academy or something. How's that, Kevin?
Yeah, get you coaching poolside.
Okay. Well, again,
Yeah,
thank you, Jesse Bauer. Thank you, Luis. Thank you, Hayley. Thank you, Kevin, for joining us here at Forging Innovation Together. I've had a wonderful time meeting all of you and a wonderful time learning about the Academy and what makes you guys tick and what is helping young athletes develop. Thank you. Please stay on the line for a little bit as we will talk offline, but I can't thank you enough. All the best, folks. Thank you to our viewers. And of course, you can subscribe, watch the channel. We hope you do. Thanks very much, and roll the credits.